everyone. Welcome to Enlightened Awakening. We had to take a little break there for a little bit, but we are back and we have lots of future episodes coming out very soon. Today, I have the beautiful Miss Damla Aktekin with us. Damla is an inner child energetic wound healer, which I desperately need. Probably a lot of you do too. She's also an astrologer, a crystal healing teacher, and a soul healing writer. Welcome, Damla.
Hello, happy to be here.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, let's dive in.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. I saw what you offered on your websites and everything, and I was like, oh, what an interesting lady. I need to reach out to her.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you do. What exactly is an inner child energetic wound healer?
Well, it's all about finding and bringing through the inner potentials that you have. I see inner children as these quantum potentials that live in you. The 5-year-old in you, the 13-year-old in you, they have a mark in your quantum field, and they usually hide behind the trauma, which is why I strongly believe that because they are quantum potentials, the inner children don't get hurt, don't get broken. They're just hiding for you to find and sort of sort through the trauma and the cloudiness of that to reach the sparkliness of your inner children.
Yes. Wow. I love that. So when you say quantum field, do you mean like our aura, or is it like an energetic field that kind of surrounds us that's a little bit different than our aura? As a matter of fact, what exactly is an aura? Like what's your definition of what an aura actually is? Are they the same thing or?
A lot of questions there, Shauna, but
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm like rapid fire.
Let's start with a drop of Om, which is the name of my business and my website. Om, if is something that most people are familiar with. It's a Sanskrit seed sound, and Om actually represents the vibrational reality of all of us, underneath the skin and bone, underneath the molecules, underneath the atomic particles. There are subatomic particles and then quarks. And then underneath that, we are vibrating strings of light, according to the physics string theory. So what that means is that this table, this screen, your glasses, and you and I are simply probability light particles vibrating. If you look underneath all of that, and spaces and everything you see, and you can see possibly R2, and everything you don't see R2. What that means is that Om is the thing that unifies us. We all vibrate. We are all not what we see. There are fields and fields of information and vastness within a single cell of you. So when I say a quantum field, I don't mean something outside of you. I mean something that is you, the skin, this bone, and something that emanates out of you too. And I would say even beyond that, because your soul chose to become a particle in a way in this coordination, but we know, or we can sense rather, that you're so much more than that. There is a vastness that connects you to all the species, all your ancestors, all the wisdom of the world. So I tell people we're all drops of Om. We are vibrational little droplets who are swimming in a sea of Omness. So we are vibrational quantum beings swimming in a quantum universe. And the quantum part of it is basically, again, time is another illusion. There's no past, present, or future. And in that you-ness, that is the quantum world. There's so much wisdom and information that you can tap into, and your inner children are part of that.
Wow. So, yeah, so it is the sound of the vibrational frequency that we all resonate in and are connected with. Did I get that right?
Yes, it's basically Om is the seed sound of the universe, they say. What that means is we're all, it just explains our vibrational essence beyond what you see as the material existence.
Gotcha. So, what do you do when it comes to, I guess, the short, sweet version of how would you go? Do you go about healing your inner child? I know that you do some crystal healing.
I do. Crystal healing actually was part of my initiation into this journey. And as I dove deeper into crystal healing, I realized that we are crystals. Our body is a liquid crystalline structure, mostly liquid crystalline. And within that, and I was like, okay, crystals store information, crystals cohere information. So, what is the information that we are carrying? And when I looked deeper into that, what I stumbled upon was the realm of the inner children. So underneath your skin, the body is wise, and whatever your discomfort, physical, emotional, spiritual might be, is going to find an expression in the body. And within that expression hides your trauma, but behind the trauma hides your inner children.
Mm. So, if you don't do the healing for your inner child, does that mean that you'll carry some of that trauma? Like, will it manifest itself in like health issues, or sometimes yes and sometimes no?
So let's come back to, you were asking me earlier what I do with people.
Oh,
What I
I'm
do
sorry.
with people, no. It relates to what you're asking now. What I do with people is that one of the things that I help people with is identifying where your issue lives. Like you and I were talking earlier before starting this, you told me a little bit about your childhood. And we can go there too if you want. But basically, whatever the wounding was there is going to find an expression in your body. And when I guide people to feel that expression, they might tell me, Damla, I have this like stone in my throat or this weight in my heart. It's usually a very palpable feeling and a sensation. What that does is you can do all you want to move in a career direction, move towards a relationship, move towards your wellness journey. But when you have a boulder in your heart or in your throat, that's going to pull you back, because the inner children need to feel safe. Inner children need to feel seen and heard and understood, which is why, especially for the expressions of inner children under 5, I don't go in with words even. We might go in with colors. We try to speak their language. We might go in with symbols. We might go in with some songs, because they haven't verbalized their experience yet. And you have a record of that in you. So it takes a lot of courage, first of all, because people are afraid of what they're going to find underneath the trauma. And then when they come and do the work with me, they leave giggling. They leave showing me this art they bought like 10 years ago of a fairy, which their inner child was showing us during the session and reminding them of being more lighthearted, being more playful. They leave with renewed creative energy, renewed resolution to do their work, their mission in this world. So what the inner child connection does is it connects you to this essential part of you that is that is medicine that you need right in this moment, that is wanting to awaken in you, that is wanting to connect you to your highest and best potential.
Do you think it's possible? Do some people heal without having help or without doing the work over time? Or do you think that they'll be stuck until they finally do the work?
Do you know people who heal without doing the work?
I don't know if I'm healed, but I'm asking for a friend.
I don't. That said, there are very new souls here on earth. There are people who come in with less bumps and bruises, if you will. So they might have a better time. I don't know. For those of us who are old souls, there's going to be another layer and another layer and another layer of healing. And you get to experience what I call a spiral growth, because you're going to hit the same wound. And then the next time, if you do the inner work, you can see it from a different vantage point. You can see it from like a more evolved point. And if you work with a healer, you can maybe climb up that spiral a little quicker, a little easier. And I did what you say. I mean, first of all, there was a part of my life where I wasn't awake and conscious of my wounding. And then when I was, it was difficult for me to trust another healer. So I did it all myself. Okay. And you can only do it yourself to a certain degree. And then now in my journey, it's about, yes, helping people trust me as a healer. But in my own personal journey, it's about allowing myself and honestly, giving myself the gift of being supported, being guided sometimes, because we all need that. We have blind spots that we don't see.
So how do you go about doing the healing? Like is the person that comes to you for help, or is it like a meditation thing, or is it like a hypnotization, or is it like
No, great question. So it really depends on the person. I am a clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, cognate, all the clairs. So,
oh wow.
so when they come in, I already know what we're gonna work on, but I don't like imposing that on people. I always say your body is the guide, your body is the initiator, and they usually know. Like once you sign up, the way this works most of the time is once you sign up to work with me, your system knows. They can feel me and my guidance and the way I work. And your system being your body will start to bring up the stuff that we're going to
Who
work.
comes through? Is it spirit guides of the person needing the healing, or angels, or ancestors, or little all of the above, or
I am
what?
less about the who, but my boundary is only highest and best guidance. And I always tell people, like, let your people talk to my people. Let your
Right. And
guidance
we'll do lunch.
check out my
Have
guidance.
your people call my people, and we'll do some healing.
And if you're drawn to me in my work, they already have. They led you to me. So once that happens, it's a co-creative process, because I want you to learn to read and feel the clues of your body. I can tell you and I can do a lot for you, but that's not my goal. My goal is to gently sort of midwife you through to the inner realms of your being.
How long does it usually take, or does it depend on the person?
It really depends on where you are and how far and fast you want to go. I always tell people we can do a lot in an hour. Like my, minimal work with people is an hour. But if you invest in 5 sessions, we can look at a couple wounds from different directions, and we can address different layers. If you do 10 sessions, that's going to be life-changing.
Do you only do in person, or do you also do like virtual sessions?
So I live in Seacoast, New Hampshire, in the East Coast, and I used to do in-person sessions. In 2019, December, I used to do, actually, I should say, at that time, I did half in person and half online over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2019, December, I heard very clearly move everything to online. And I did. And then we all know what happened in 20.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that crazy?
we keep getting trauma triggered in all sorts of ways, with the recent news, with the natural disasters, with the this and the that and the wars. You're going to keep getting triggered more and more and more. And unless you take the time to really look into which inner child is like shouting in you, which inner child is creating or contributing to your anxiety, which inner child is like really bound up in you in that sad little fetal position, it's going to be getting harder.
So, yeah. So, the reason I asked that is because growing up, I've always been like a little scrapper, always running my mouth. Like, if somebody came at me, I was ready to do battle. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've just always like been that way, like very reactive. And like, it hasn't been an overnight thing. It's been a gradual thing, but I'm to the point now where it's like, I don't even want, I shy away from combative situations. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's completely good either. It's not good to completely shut that out because there's maybe something that needs to be addressed. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, um, and I'm gradually, like, I feel like I'm a lot more open minded and try to look at things from different perspectives, and more so than I was, say, 3, 4, or 5 years ago. Way more so. Does that make sense?
But not like 0%.
Correct. So
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering if, like, does this stuff happen, or is there always like some work that needs to be done?
Yeah, because the part that's getting triggered is an inner child. And unless you take the time to really listen to this part of you. You told me earlier that you had a childhood where you were the truth sayer, like you needed to shout things out to be heard.
I still am. Like, I can't, I call
That's
things
great.
out
But
instinctively.
you also told me something about leaving home, wanting to leave home.
Yeah, well, I was always out with friends all the time. Like, I always had a little best friend. I was kind of isolated from the family anyway. So I always had a best friend. Like, I had, wherever we lived, I had a childhood best friend, and we were always together. Like, from the moment we woke up and I was out of the house as much as I was allowed to be and possibly could be.
Yeah. The thing
Um,
about, there is nothing wrong with creating strong boundaries and saying your truth. But the moment you go into a situation where you're projecting your energy outward and your energy is basically leaving your body involuntarily, and there's nothing present here, leaving home, the body is the home, then
mhm.
we have a problem. Because
Right.
you want all of your vitality here in this moment, in these coordinates of the heart, of the body. So your
Mhm.
challenge is, if you choose to accept it,
Sounds like Mission Impossible.
to realize when you start to leave your body, when you get triggered. Even before you get triggered, you probably feel like the tingling of the trigger coming in. So you got to bring yourself back into the body, because when you leave the body, who are you leaving alone? The inner child.
Right.
Who are you abandoning? The inner child. And the inner child has every right to be angry if she gets abandoned. So your anger that is directed at outward things has nothing to do, has something to do with the outward, but I'm guessing it has more to do with your abandoned inner child.
You know, it's so interesting. I'm having a revelation while you're saying this to me because, you know, I'm the sign of the Gemini. I told you that before when we were talking. And so it's the sign of the twins, right? And so when I was younger, you know, I used to just say, I didn't really think about it that much, but you know, your evil twin and your good twin. And then as I grew older, I'm like, no, 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 that's not right. There is no evil twin. There's a hard twin and a soft twin. And I would explain to people like the soft twin is the happy go lucky, wants to party, loves everybody, is giggly and everything. And the hard twin, she usually stays in the back, but she comes out either when we need to be defended or when something needs to get done and needs to be handled, right? Other than that, she'll kind of stay in the background, right? But as you're telling me this, I'm thinking more than the hard twin, soft twin, it sounds to me like it's more of the adult twin and the child twin. Does that make sense?
Not to me now.
No.
Because I see it
Dang it.
differently. Because to me, like, okay, when you're soft, the question that comes into my mind is, are you leaving yourself when you're like buddy buddy with everyone else? Are you saying no to yourself when you say yes to other people? And when you're hard, are you leaving your body with that energy that wants to go so hard because you have been so soft and you have been repeatedly leaving yourself behind, that now you have to be hard more, like disproportionately, to be able to almost reclaim yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 yes. So kind of almost the reverse.
Both and. I mean, there's very wise parts of inner children, and then there's very like young and playful and they just want what they want parts. So
Yes.
you have all of
Yeah.
good
Wow.
stuff.
Yeah, it really is. Like I'm learning a lot. I'm loving this.
But I love that as a Gemini, like you have been thinking about the twins, the duality in you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you try to just not allow yourself to be in certain situations where this protective energy comes out and you get triggered, if you just try to avoid those situations rather than doing the work, or is that going to be counterproductive?
You
Or
can do that during your healing, right? During the time, whether you start doing it yourself or you get help, you can do that absolutely by all means. But it doesn't mean that you're going to not get triggered. Getting healing help doesn't mean that you're not going to get triggered, but you're just going to, as I said, you're going to get triggered not from the primal, I'm going to kill you energy, but from the energy of, okay, this is happening. I'm getting triggered. What do I need? What do the inner children in me need? What does my body need? Did I drink water today? Did I sleep? Did I go to my walk? Did I touch grass? You know, so it's a different kind of looking at the relationship with life. Like you can't expect not to be thrown things at you. That's not the agreement here. I can tell
yeah.
you astrologically, like cyclically, the stuff storm is coming your way. But you gotta take the time, the quiet times, especially, not when the stuff hits the fan, but in the quiet times, you have the opportunity to dig deep, find those wounds, like bless and put balms on those wounds so that when the bigger stuff hits, you're a little bit more prepared.
So, is it the same process for everyone, or are there different processes depending on what kind of trauma they have?
Absolutely different. If I work with someone who has done a lot of inner work, we might go quicker. Like there was one session where we actually healed the inner child of a past life of a client, which is, I mean, you don't have to do that. We can start wherever you are. But if the trauma has been too deep, like you haven't touched it. Your nervous system doesn't even know what a healing will look like. We have to start slow, obviously. And I need to give you a lot of homework to feel your body, to be in your body, to drink your water and electrolytes. And then in certain cases, when people have a hard time feeling into the body, that tells me immediately the trauma is too deep. And in those cases, they may not be able to see the imagery of the inner children, but we can still work with the sensations. We can work with other types of imagery. We can work with what's available to you. We can work with colors. We can just work with sound. But it really is, it's less about where you are. It's more about what are you open to experiencing and diving deep into.
Are these sessions, are they just, you said they're different for everybody? Like some people you use crystals and some people you're doing like a meditation, or like what's that look like?
Yeah, you were touching another sore point for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's all right. It's all
If
right.
you don't want to
It's
talk
good.
about it, we don't have to.
It's meant to be touched upon, which is, I don't go to the word use for crystals because I see them as loving partners and ancestors. So I partner with crystals, yes, for each and every session. And then I might add sound healing to it. And then I might have had some EFT tapping to it. And then most of the time, it's me guiding you through the intuitive hits. I get just the next bit thing to say to you, just the next bit of silence sometimes for you to help you process. And I always tell people there's an advantage to the online thing because I can actually feel more of you and I can manipulate more in the energy field with the help
Really?
of crystals. Yes. So it's a beautiful co-creative process.
I would think that you would be able to feel people better in person than online. That's wild.
It's both, but when we're apart, like you're in your safe space, usually like people go to their bedroom or whatever, or their study, and I'm in my safe space. And then
Oh,
later you don't have to go into your car and drive, so there's your nervous system can settle. So the benefits just go longer. And there's this sense of more honesty in both parts. And anyway, I don't know. I like it.
yes, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense because subconsciously they're already in a comfortable, safe, familiar surrounding. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then you don't have to immediately go out into the real world, drive home, get in traffic, blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah, I get it. That makes sense. So, if you want to share with us what led you down the path to become a healer, like how did you find that was your purpose?
I actually I studied engineering, and then I did my MBA, and I was in the corporate world for a while. In 2005, I started to get migraines. It was actually after my grandma's passing. And that led me to going into yoga, of all things. But actually, I should say, first of all, that led me to understand that I needed to do something differently. And the yoga was the first thing that appeared on my path. It was a discovery. I mean, here is the pain in my head. And I come to realize that I was just existing in my head previously. I was doing all the things you were supposed to do. And I was very analytical, all in my head. Like my body didn't exist. All of a sudden, yoga, it's like, whoa, like I have a body? What do you mean I have a body? And
It opens you up. It's
I quickly became a full-time yoga teacher, yoga studio manager, all the certifications, all the stuff that goes along with it. Great. And then in 2012, I gave birth to my daughter through an emergency C-section. Another health, spiritual, whatever crisis you say. And I completely lost touch with myself. Nothing I knew in yoga worked. I was getting into a really dark place. And here was this light being in my hands.
Like during it or after?
I would say during and after giving birth.
During,
The
yeah.
C-section was really hard on me.
Yeah. And
then I made the very conscious decision. I just asked the universe, the soul of life, however you call it. I said, just send me whatever I need to heal. And mantras showed up, hence the drop of Om. EFT tapping showed up, and more strongly, crystals showed up. I didn't have time as a new mom to learn a bunch of facts about crystals, but I would have like 5 minutes to maybe hold them and breathe with them. Or I would lie down and I would just put them on myself. I would just feel slightly better afterwards. I would feel a little bit better. So I kept coming back and coming back. And then I started offering like these group workshops to people. And then I started doing healings first on my family members, just really spontaneously. And then I started offering those healings to others. But people would keep asking me, Damla, what crystal do I go to? But they said use, but I don't I don't want to use.
Yeah, you don't like that word use.
Because it wasn't like that for me. And in trying to communicate what I was discovering to them, I actually ended up teaching quite a bit of crystal healing in those workshops, and then later that translated into my online course about crystal healing. And I have a huge membership now with over 200 crystal healings, inner child healings, and EFT tappings and what have you. So basically what I understood is this: crystals are our kin, our relatives, our ancestors, and they can get activated through love. And when they get activated through love, they basically retransmit that back to you. They cohere it, they increase the signal, and they send it back to you, whatever intention you have. That was a huge revelation for me. And then I came to understand that crystals are connected to each other and to every other crystal in the world. And then I was like, wait a second. I'm a crystalline being. DNA is a liquid crystal, which means each and every living being, animal, plant is a crystalline being. Each and every mineral, the earth, the crystals in the driver, the crystals in your laptop, they also have crystalline elements. So that means crystals have also connections to each and every other mineral in the multiverse across time. Whoa. Can you begin to imagine the amount of wisdom, the amount of time and experience they have access to? And I'm supposed to say, I will use them? No, thank you. I approach them with love, with reverence, with curiosity, with awe, with the respect that they deserve, that I deserve also. So with that becomes possible opening of portals into all kinds of realms that you can imagine.
Yeah. They are definitely beautiful, that's for sure. They're gorgeous.
They are.
So I was just watching a podcast this morning when I was getting ready for my day, or listening to, I should say. I always pull them up on YouTube, but I listen. And they were talking about the different properties of metals like gold and silver and the energy that is exchanged, and things like gemstones and crystals and things like that with jewelry. And they were also talking about ancient Egypt, and they were talking like that was the jewelry that they wore was not just for decoration. It had like purposes, like there was energy exchange with the crystals and the metals and stuff like that. Do you find that to be true?
I'm a strong advocate. We could talk about Egypt too, which is another fascination of mine. But
I love Egypt.
I strongly believe that each and every person has the opportunity to create their own bones and their own relationship with crystals. Yes, I mean, you can spend a lot of time learning these connections and things. At the same time, what I found as I was doing the great crystals workshops is I would make a whole bunch of crystals available to all kinds of different people. Like I would have women come in with their husbands. I would have dads come in with their teenage daughter, and like all sorts of different people. Each and every one of them left looking different, more relaxed and calm. It didn't matter what crystals they picked, because as I said, each and every crystal is connected to each and every other crystals in the multiverse across time. So it doesn't matter. Did Egyptians have intentionality behind their crystals? Possibly, potentially. I mean, they had an immense civilization that we haven't begun to understand. This actually brings me to how the crystal healing connects to the inner child healing. In 2022, I went on a pilgrimage to Egypt. Before that, though, as I was deciding to go or not, I had a dream where I am standing by the Great Pyramid. It's nighttime, and I am looking at the sky, and it's filled with stars, just beautiful stars. And I can't believe it. I keep looking at it, and people pass me by, and I keep saying, just look at the stars, see how they're shining. And some people pass me by, and some people stop and look with me. I woke up knowing that I was looking at the sparks of the inner children. And I woke up also knowing that this beautiful, magnificent piece of architecture, the Great Pyramid, was a metaphor, was a symbol for our bodies, because what a crystal is a symmetrical, beautiful, geometrical structure, which is what we are. We may get out of order quicker, we may go into chaos, but still that crystalline beauty exists. And within that crystalline beauty, in what I explained as the quantum realm, are your infinite potentials hidden. And I also was shown in the dream, yes, there can be clouds that obstruct the view of those sparkles, of those stars, but the stars don't go away. Your potentials don't go away. So that is how I was shown that my crystal healing is very directly intertwined with the inner child healing that I was being invited to do. And then later on in my pilgrimage, I got the chance to stand by the Great Pyramid and then go in, do a 2-hour meditation inside at night.
What was it like?
Life-changing. I was actually guided inside the King's Chamber through a Merkaba initiation.
What's
I went with a group of women. Merkaba is a geometrical structure. It's basically one pyramid looking up and another looking down.
Oh, okay.
I was shown that my heart is at the center. And I was also shown that each and everything that I'm meant to birth into the earth and that I need, and that others need through me, is just right there planted in my heart. And I went with a group of other women, and they all had a different experience. No one was guided through the same thing. we all had a unique experience. And I actually have, I call them Kemet. Kemet means the Black Land. It's the ancient name of Egypt.
I've heard that recently.
Yeah, I've created a group of meditations called Kemet meditations. And Kem, of course, is the root seed syllable for alchemy. Alchemy comes from Egypt too.
Wow. Do you think that everybody that's here lived at least one past life in ancient Egypt? I mean, they were around for a long time.
I mean, I can't tell you for sure. I know I have, but
What do you think?
it's for each and every one of us to discover for ourselves, I suppose.
I think I have too.
Because
Maybe.
the pool for me was undeniable. And I actually see that you have pyramids in your background. The moment I saw that, I was like, did she put that on for me?
I did. Yes, I did.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I try to theme it, I mean, I'm all girly and blingy, but I try to theme it towards my guest. I do the same thing for my other podcast as well. But yeah, and the thumbnails as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think, I mean, I know you can't answer this for sure, but what's your opinion on this? Do you think that if someone is like interested in a certain time period, that may be an indicator that they might have had a past life in that specific time period?
Yeah. I mean, why not? I'm open to these things, but I often feel if that kind of thing is coming up, it's less about the what and the how and who you were and what you did. It's more about, okay, you can feel into the energy and ask, why is this coming up? Where does this find an expression in my body? And then you can go through the inner child journey that way. So,
did you go take the tour of the pyramids with a tour guide, or did you go yourself?
I went with a group of women. There was about 20 of us.
Were you the guide, or you just there
No,
was
I was not, but it was a very, very spiritual group, and we had a spiritual leader guide of the group, as well as we had Egyptian guides who were.
Oh, wow. Can anybody do that? Or is this like a special list of people?
I mean, it was, when I was going, it was open to anybody, but it was, yeah, somehow the groups that come together for these kinds of things, you got to know that this is not your first journey together. That's another part of the pilgrimage. I guess I should step back and say, it depends on whether you see it as a trip versus a spiritual journey. If you choose to see it as a spiritual journey, it's going to open up all sorts of stuff for you. And it's the difference between someone going
to a tourist attraction,
pyramids and looking around like, la la la, looks good, versus like you can really feel the vibration, you can feel what it's awakening in you, and you can experience it together with the like-minded people. So yeah.
When I did visit some pyramids, just not the ones in Egypt. So when my husband and I were very young, or my ex-husband, I should say, we were very young, we went to Cancun a couple times and we took tours of ancient Mayan ruins. And, we were so young. He's off, hey, look at this, picking up rocks and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Listen to the tour guide. Oh my gosh, like we are at a historical landslide, But I was just in awe. I was just like, wow, it felt like so surreal to even be there. Do you think they're all kind of like that, or
those places? I mean, I know of the one where you're mentioning. There are chakras of Earth where the energy lines, ley lines intersect. The pyramids are one of them. definitely certain other sacred sites like Stonehenge, they are those as well. And the energy there is palpable. Energy there asks you to pay attention to what's happening in you and around you. And when you do, it becomes an undeniable connection with Mother Gaia, because the energy you're feeling is Mother Gaia pulsating. And people put temple upon temple upon these sacred sites. Certain churches are built on it, certain mosques, where there used to be a temple, because people felt the energy of the Mother Gaia stronger, that cosmic connection stronger. They built sacred things, and they made it sacred too. So it's really about you, what you're drawn to. But there is a special way to visit a sacred site, because it's going to mirror your inner journey. It is going to bring up all your karmic stuff. It's just another healing journey.
You know, we were so young. We weren't even 20 yet. We were high school sweethearts. And
Yeah. And I would have said to you, like, instead of even listening to the tour guide, I would have said, just listen to your body. Like, your body knows. Your body is the greatest instrument, a great big cosmic crystal. So she will feel what she needs to feel.
I was totally in awe. Well, you know, we didn't really know a lot. All we knew at that age was what we learned in school, right? So I was just like so interested in the whole story of Cortez landing and how the Yucatan Peninsula got its name, because when he landed, the Mayans were like, he was like, wow, this place, this is what the tour guy said anyway. And he landed, he was like, oh my gosh, this place is so beautiful. What do you call this place? And they were like, Yucatan, Yucatan, which is Mayan for, I don't understand what you're saying. And then when that movie, Apocalypto came out, it didn't get really good ratings because a lot of people didn't really understand it, didn't really know what was happening, I feel like. But because I had taken that tour and because she had explained that story or told us that story, I knew exactly what was going on. And I was so interested in that movie because I was like, we were looking at some of the ancient Mayan ruins that we actually visited in person. And at the end, I knew what was happening. I knew that was Cortez landing on the shore. And yeah, it was wild. So
Yeah, of course, look at the Gemini, and you're paying attention to the language of things. That makes sense.
yes, everything's about communication for us. Yeah, I totally felt the energy there for sure. Like even that young, even at that age, I was just like so in awe of it. It was just a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Yeah. The other piece of this is when you visit a place like that, whatever outer temple or outer sacred site you visit is just a placeholder for your inner sacredness. So what you encounter there, that awe, that beauty, is your own. And that takes a while to get used to and feel into and embody. But you are asked to visit into yourself.
I feel like more people than ever before are learning that everything that we look for in the outer world can really be found right here. It's like, I feel like a lot more people are learning how to look inward. Does that sound like a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, you can visit a site like that and you can put graffiti on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Versus you can enter with silence, reverence, curiosity, openness, inner communication. And you can follow where your feet take you, which corner your body wants to go to. And these things, unfortunately, we're not taught anywhere, right? How to do a soul journey into these sacred places. And we're not taught how to do a sacred journey into ourselves, into the sacred temples of our bodies. So they're both one and the same. Sometimes it takes that big gesture of going into a place like Yucatan or the Great Pyramid to awaken that in you. And even in the absence of that, you always have that option of finding that connection in you with each and every breath.
Can you, just for fun, do you have to start a reading to see what one of my past lives was, just out of curiosity? Or is that something you can kind of just tell?
I am, like I said, I'm a moment to moment guidance person.
I feel like I've had a lot of past lives.
At this point, I'm not getting anything for you.
Okay.
I feel like we did get into you when we were talking about the twins. I think that was direct guidance for you. So that might be something for you to revisit. And honestly, I'm not necessarily looking for that. I'm not necessarily looking to uncover your past lives, because it's less about that for me and more about what wants to heal, what wants to be known, what wants to be heard, what wants to be understood, what wants to be held compassionately, lovingly today.
So a past life will only come up if there's a wound that needs to be healed, basically?
It'll come up in, if we dig deep, and occasionally you can't, or I can't guide you to recall something from this life. For instance, I might ask you, it doesn't even have to be past lives, but I might ask you, how old is this sensation? And people might say it's like from the 5-year-old, or they might say it's 5 years old. So like from when you were 40. Or sometimes people say like it's as old as time. So then that tells me it's an ancestral wounding. It's something else.
Okay.
And in the moment you use the word ancestral, it does intertwine with past lives and everything. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying the wrong thing. I'm fired.
No, you didn't say anything wrong. It's just, I mean, I guess I don't believe in doing this stuff or going into someone's field just to get something juicy. I'm more interested in how can I help you be more of yourself, more letting your soul shine. All available on my website. Honestly, I have a link that says all healing offers, and it has all my free, and I have quite a bit of free offers, low priced offers, and then mid and so on. But
Nice.
And I always tell people it doesn't matter whether the offering is free or whatever its price. The pricing is more related to my time, like how much time and effort I put into it. And that's valuable, but you're gonna get what you need depending on what you're drawn to. And I always tell people, start with my free offerings. Actually, I'm offering a free crystal healing. It's called Being Held by the Divine Mother. It's something that I recorded right when I came back from Egypt. Because of the Mother Gaia, the goddess energy there is so strong. I wanted people to feel what it felt like to be held by it. And that's free. So you can go in and experience, give your inner children the experience of being held by that motherly, divine, all-accepting energy. And that's a gift that just keeps on giving. I come back to that healing when I want to experience that again. So just go to adropofhome.com. You can find all of my offerings and move towards what feels good to you. And I said that I have a membership that has right now over 200 healing meditations, crystal healings, inner child guided healings, and master classes, guest healers, everything that I feel you need to start on your and deepen your healing journey. And then if you said, Damla, I'm ready, willing, and able to have a one-on-one relationship of guidance and support with you, I'm here. So you can ask me any question you like.
Oh, that's awesome. So if you would like to get a hold of Damla, here are all the ways to get a hold of her. And I'm going to go check out the crystal reading. I'm going to go check out the inner child reading stuff on there because I feel like I could totally benefit from that. So I want to ask you a couple questions that I ask all my guests. What is next for you on this path?
Yes, I am in the process of putting finishing touches to my book. I wrote a crystal healing book, and it's all about love, and I love it. I thought it was going to be like a technical thing, teaching people what to do. How it ended up being, it came through as almost like poetry. It came
Mm-hmm.
like deeper than I had ever hoped or dreamed she would. So she's gonna come out sometime next year. I'm also in the process of looking at what's working and what's not working. I have a podcast, so that might change form. And my website is going through some work. But overall, I think I'm in this period of just evaluating what wants to stay with me, what wants to fall away.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to make space for? And one of those things that's in my heart is to offer more group trainings and classes around energy
Ooh.
healing. I kind of want to feel that community feeling with people, whoever shows up, however they show up, and I want to show up for them too. And I'm like slowly, I'm like, let me get this book out. let me birth this part of the website, and then hopefully it's still just
Are you channeling what is written in the book, or are you coming up with going on past experiences or things that you've learned, or what?
I have channeled. It's done. The book is
Mm.
done. I'm just putting finishing touches on her. So it was. I just kept writing every single day, and letting whatever wanted to flow. And I'm very, very. It just, it's one of those things you talk about writing a book, and it doesn't seem real, and then it's finally real.
You never think it's for you until
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I mean, that's very
Beautiful and scary and healing. Like it's definitely helped heal a lot of my creative wounds from the past. So yeah, it's been a whole journey for me.
creative
I hope
wounds. What's a
creative.
what's a creative wound like?
A creative wound
As
is
you can tell, I do not have a wound in that area. I'm like over the
good for
top.
you. The creative wound is a block or a limitation that gets put on you around your creativity.
Oh, okay. I have blocks in other areas, I'm sure, but creativity is not one of them.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I hope and dream that it's gonna open up the same or who unique pathways of healing for everyone who reads.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Do you know about when it'll be out, or is it kind of too soon to tell for
I
sure?
have no idea. For a while, I tried to stick to a schedule,
Timeline,
and that's
yeah.
not happening. So I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm available. Let's do this together. I
Right.
hope sometime in 2025.
Gotcha. Okay. And the other question I have for you is that if that you would like a piece of profound advice that you would like to leave with our viewers and our listeners, what would that be?
You are love, surrounded by love, and you cannot begin to imagine the intricate, beautiful, and soulful structure that you were created as. You are a conduit of love, but not only that, you are made up of love. Crystals are love, and you're a crystalline being. So be that, embody that, and remember that there's always love available to you. There's love when you go out to nature. Trees emanate love. There's love when you step on the ground. Mother Gaia emanates love. I mean, you may not have had love in the way that you needed throughout your lifetime, in this particular lifetime, but there is love available to you. And when you open up the pathways in you to see that, it's been very, very, very magical.
I feel that. I love being out in nature. I had a conversation. I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and I keep hearing a lot of people saying, "I don't want to come back to. I don't want to live another life after this. I'm done. This is my last life," and blah blah blah. And I'm the only person that I know of when that conversation comes up that I'm like, I want to come back. I don't want this to be my last lifetime. I want to see the results of everything that we're going through right now. I want to see how we go. I want to come back again. I totally do.
You're having too much fun. You just want the fun to
I
continue.
mean, it's rough sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do not have a rosy life for sure. I'm actually kind of towards the end, I feel, of a little rough patch right now. But that being said, isn't that what this is all about? I mean,
Look at
if
all
it's
your
rough to climb the
little,
mountain, it's so
yeah,
rewarding when you get to the
look at your
top.
little emojis and sparkles that you put everywhere. You are having fun.
I'm ridiculous. Some people are probably watching it going, "Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. Like, I can't take this girl."
It's perfect. It's you.
Like, I don't care. I don't care. I care like this.
Yeah.
Oh, it is crazy. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot in me constantly trying to pour out, literally. But I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. So hang back afterwards and we'll have a chat before we part ways. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.